So here's a hot take. Upwork is not a race to the bottom. And Jessica and I are proof of that. We have both grown our profiles in separate niches into the top 1% of all freelancers on the platform. We've made a combined $250,000 without outsourcing and without the agency model. And so in today's podcast, we're going to talk about why Upwork is not a race to the bottom when it comes to what you can charge unless you allow it to be.
Whenever I tell friends and family that I've had a lot of success on Upwork, they all give me the same exact look, and it's a combination of disbelief and skepticism. Like, they can't believe I have had success on Upwork. And I think it just goes back to this huge misconception that Upwork is a race to the bottom. But Tyler and I are here to tell you you can make really good money on Upwork.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand why this impression of Upwork as a race to the bottom exists, right? Totally makes sense. You look anywhere on the internet, you look on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter. I mean, everything that everyone is talking about when it comes to Upwork is it's a race to the bottom. It's a scam. It's full of low end clients. And to a certain degree, those things are true. Those are all true. But where freelancers go wrong is they think that that's all Upwork is. Okay. Yes, a part of Upwork is a race to the bottom with ridiculous clients, ridiculously low rates. But there's a second path on Upwork. There's a race to the bottom, and then there's a race to the top, which is what we focus on. Okay. This is where you focus on the 20% of clients on Upwork that are high value, the 20% of clients that appreciate you and your skills, and the 20% of clients who have 80% of the budget. So this is the thing that freelancers get wrong is they join Upwork, they get excited, they hear something encouraging about Upwork as a platform. They get excited to win freelance work. They throw up their profile and then they look at that job feed and they get completely demoralized. I mean, that's what happened to me. I created my profile, I was excited to win some video work, and then I saw the budgets, right? You see the unfiltered job feed and you see just ridiculous job posts. And I think we're going to do a podcast on the most ridiculous job posts that we've seen on Upwork, but there's a lot. And especially when you're looking at it unfiltered, I mean, you see $100 videos, you see $5 an hour projects, $4 an hour projects. It can be super demoralizing and it can be pretty scary to see that stuff and to see that other freelancers are actually submitting proposals to these ridiculous job posts. But like I said, that's only one part of Upwork. There's a race to the bottom and then there's a race to the top. And so you get to choose which path do I want to go after. And what we encourage you to do is to go after the race to the top, which, like I said, is all about attracting high value clients. And there are a ton of high value clients. Yes, there aren't as many high value clients as there are low value clients, but that doesn't matter because each high value client is worth 10 low value clients when it comes to the budgets that they have to work with.
So, if you haven't gathered this so far, Tyler and I are here to just be completely transparent. We want to see you succeed on Upwork, and that's why we're creating this content and we're letting you know there's another way to do this. And so, we're not going to sugarcoat it. And to Tyler's point about one amazing client is worth, 3 to 4 clients. I mean, I'm a prime example of this. Just a few months ago, I landed one client and it was at a retainer amount that covered 5 clients. And that would not have ever been possible if I had played the short game. If I decided to work with low value clients, got burned out, probably would have quit altogether. And I decided to keep with it, stay the course, and play the long game. And now I am seeing the efforts of my work pay off.
Yeah, exactly. It's a short term game versus a long term game. And a lot of people flame out when they join Upwork and they go after the short term returns. They go after the first client that comes their way, the first client that responds to their proposal. And what a lot of times what happens, and this is a classic story that I've seen time and time again, a new freelancer joins Upwork. They don't optimize their profile very well. They don't really spend the time that they need to spend to really create a high level profile. And they just start submitting proposals willy nilly. And then the first thing they get, the first job that actually responds to their proposal and gives them a chance ends up being a low value client. They don't screen for red flags. And their desperation to get that first project goes sideways because they didn't find a client that actually respected them and then they burn out They leave Upwork and then they start posting about how Upwork is a scam essentially. So that's the story that you want to avoid, okay? And that's kind of how my journey on Upwork unfolded. So I created my profile, I looked at that job feed. I was like, "Nah, this is just what everyone else said. This is a race to the bottom. You can't make money on Upwork." And I basically quit. So I created my profile, looked at the job feed and quit. And then the only reason I ended up coming back to Upwork was I actually got a job invite out of the blue. I wasn't submitting proposals, but I got a job invite. And that first job ended up being such a good experience. And I actually ended up earning over $100 an hour on that first job. And I was like, wow, there actually are some legit clients on here because that first client was like an agency on the East Coast, totally respected me, totally wanted to work with me. We hopped on a call and he was totally respectful. And then when I delivered those final files, it was like about 2 hours of work. He was over the moon, super appreciative of me and my skills. And I was like, wow, maybe there are some high-end clients, maybe there are some clients that have some value here. And so that's the only reason why I ended up staying on Upwork because of that super lucky job invite that came my way. But now that I've spent 6, 7 years on Upwork, I can tell you without a doubt that there are numerous amazing clients on there. There's enough amazing clients to go around, and there's a high end on Upwork and there's a low end on Upwork, and we all get focused on that low end, and we can't see that high end because it's not right in your front of your face on the job feed, but the high end is there.
What a lot of freelancers don't understand is that these high value clients are often sending invites because they have something really specific in mind. They're looking for a freelancer with very, very specific skill sets, have a very specific niche in mind. So they're often sending these direct invites to freelancers. Yes, they can still post in the job feed, but I've been on the client side of things. And when you post on the job feed, you can get bombarded. You can get absolutely bombarded with freelancers, some of which are just sending templated proposals out, and it just takes a lot of work sifting through. So, from the client's perspective, it sometimes is better to actually take the time, look through the freelancers, and then send them a direct invite.
Exactly. So keep that in mind when you're looking at that job feed. You're only seeing a fraction of the clients that are actually on Upwork. That job feed is not an accurate representation of all the wide variety of clients that exist on Upwork because like Jessica said, a lot of times these high value clients, they don't want to post a public job because they're literally and the higher the budget gets, the more they're going to get flooded, right? I mean, you've seen it. You've seen those jobs that have a $5,000 budget and you've seen how many proposals these people get when they post to the public job feed. So, a lot of these high value clients are sending invite only jobs, okay? That means you're never going to see that job. You're never going to see it unless they invite you directly. So, when it comes to how you form your impression of the type of clients that exist on Upwork, you cannot forget that a large amount of super valuable clients are not even visible to you because they're not posting in the public job feed. So, what does that mean? That means your profile needs to exude extreme quality. Your profile needs to be high level because a lot of the times people are looking at your profile and you don't even know it. High value clients are seeing you come up in search results when they're looking for the right talent that they want to invite to bid on their jobs.
And I hate to break it to you, but it's very, very obvious to tell which freelancers are actually taking this seriously and which ones are low value freelancers. I mean, you can tell within 15 seconds of scanning someone's profile if they actually took the time, if they looked at all the details of their profile, making sure everything is 10 out of 10. It's very, very obvious. And so that's why it's so important to make sure your Upwork profile is top notch and also you're reviewing it on a monthly basis for those instances when a high value client is searching on Upwork, they're looking for the right freelancer. You want to make sure your profile is ready and it intrigues them. And so they want to reach out to you.
Yeah, and if you want a little encouragement, think about this. I got that first job invite directly from a high value client and I had no job history. Okay, why did I get that invite? Because he came to my profile, he liked what he saw, he didn't care that I had no reviews. he saw that my profile was high level. He understood that I was a high level freelancer, regardless of my experience on Upwork. He could see that, I was an experienced freelancer with, my portfolio showed my skills, everything about my profile showed that just because I was new to Upwork doesn't mean they're going to discriminate against you if you have a high level profile. So keep that in mind. Like, you don't need to have hundreds of reviews to compete on Upwork. You just need to have a high level profile. You need to have high level portfolio items. And that's usually all it really takes to start getting traction and to actually convert those high value clients that are stumbling upon you and your profile in the search results when they're looking for those invite only candidates. That's something to keep in mind.
And that brings us to our last point, which is desperation. And I know when you're first starting on Upwork and you're trying to get traction, you're trying to land those projects, sometimes you can feel a little desperate or fall into the trap of desperation. You just want to get a couple of projects under your belt. But you really have to pause and take a step back, because the second you get on a sales call with a client, they will feel that desperation. I mean, I've been on multiple calls with freelancers that I've hired, and I can just feel it like instantly. It's like an energy they give off, and I'll ask them some questions and they'll say, "Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah." It's like they don't follow up with, first of all, examples and experience that they can share. And they don't even give me any questions. They don't even ask any questions. So I just know right away this is a freelancer who's clearly desperate for work. I don't know how good they're going to do on this project. And it's just a really, really bad energy to give off.
Yeah, so I would even say that high value clients are going to be able to sense your desperation even before you get on that video call. They're going to be able to sense it in your proposal, and they're going to be able to sense how desperate you are in your DM communication with them before they hop on a video call with you. So before you get on Upwork, you need to make sure that your mental is rock solid. You have rock solid belief in yourself and rock solid belief in your skills so that no feelings of desperation come out, because high value clients are really good at sniffing that out.
Here's the thing. You might be wondering, well, why is that bad? Why is that bad to have desperation? So, from the client's perspective, I will tell you why that's bad. That's bad because let's say I hire Susie, and Susie is just reeking of desperation. I can tell she needs the money, and I could just feel it in her energy. Well, we start working together. It's, going okay. And let's say there's another client that comes on board who's offering more money. I know that Susie's not committed to me because she's just focused on the money and she just wants to get a project because she's so desperate. So she's going to jump ship if someone offers her more money. And that's just not a game you want to play. You want to be paired up with the client because of the fit, because of the work you deliver, and it matches what they're looking for. You don't want this desperation component into this partnership. You really want to make sure you're a fit for a high value client.
Yeah, so think of it like a job interview for those of you who have gone to job interviews. You don't want to seem too eager. You want to make it feel like it's a two-way street. So when you're talking to the client, you're asking them relevant questions. You're making sure it's a good fit for you just as much as they're making sure it's a good fit for them. It's all about being a professional, being a pro. And pros don't work with just anyone. And that's okay. Sometimes it's not a good fit, even if they do have the budget to hire you. So take that into your composition when you're interacting with these high value clients, because that's what's going to make the difference is your demeanor, the way that you carry yourself, and the way that you are professional in the way that you interact with them.
It's kind of funny, but it's so similar to dating, right? When you're dating somebody and you just get a hint of desperation, it's a turnoff. For whatever reason, on a subconscious level, it's a complete turnoff. You're not as interested. So that like fundamental feeling definitely translates to working with clients. So we can't talk about desperation without talking about the financials, right? Because I get it. Like you have to pay your bills, right? Maybe you are a struggling freelancers and you have rent to pay, you have bills to pay. The thing is though, Upwork is a long-term game, right? We preach this. We're saying play the long game, take it slow, be very, very thoughtful, intentional, strategic as you build up your Upwork profile. And Tyler and I are examples of that because we're both expert vetted on Upwork. but you gotta make sure the financials are dialed in. So you cannot come onto Upwork and just send out a million proposals and just like hope to make a ton of money. You can't put that amount of pressure on Upwork. We recommend that you have to have other avenues for client acquisition. You have to be able to land clients outside of Upwork so that you can pay your bills and you don't bring this desperate energy onto Upwork. So maybe that means having a part time job, or maybe that even means keeping your 9 to 5 a few months longer so you can build up a safety net. Have a nice little safety cushion fund so that when a low value client reaches out on Upwork, you can confidently say no and take a step back and not feel guilty about it so that you can save room for a high value client that's going to come on board.
Yeah, the funny thing is like the less you actually need Upwork as a tool to earn income, the faster your progress on Upwork will be because you're less desperate, you're focused on the high value clients, and you're willing to take the long game. So, like Jessica said, you need to make sure your financials are good. Don't quit your 9 to 5 if you don't have a healthy client base outside of Upwork. And just use Upwork as a tool that is going to augment your income. And that's kind of how we use it. We use it as an augmentation to our current freelance income. And I think that's probably the smartest way to use Upwork. You don't want all your eggs in one basket, but as a tool to augment your income to earn an extra thousand, 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 a month, it is an amazing tool for that.
And the reason we preach this is because you want diversification, right? You do not want to put all your eggs in one basket, like Tyler mentioned. You do not want to be dependent on one lead source because that just puts you in a really vulnerable spot. So we always recommend diversify. So, yes, you have Upwork bringing in leads, you're landing clients on Upwork, fantastic. But, maybe you're exploring LinkedIn, maybe you're exploring SEO, maybe you're bringing in clients through social media. You are experimenting with other lead platforms so that you're not putting unnecessary pressure on Upwork and so you can play the long game.
So, is Upwork a race to the bottom? That's the question. The answer is yes and no. Upwork is a race to the bottom and it's also a race to the top. You can, over time, you can charge more, earn more reviews, earn more badges, and have it be a bigger and bigger tool for you to attract high value clients directly to you. Or you can play the race to the bottom game and you can worry about all the low value jobs that get posted every single day in the job feed. You can worry about competing on price with a million bajillion other competitors. The choice is up to you. And we're here to tell you that the race to the top is the much better path. And you just need to go into it with the right mindset and the right understanding of how Upwork works, how the clients use Upwork, and how to actually approach your actions on Upwork in the right way.
I mean, wouldn't you want to work with high value clients that pay you a premium rate? They trust your expertise. It's a true partnership. You're a part of their team. I mean, that is so rewarding, but you got to be patient and you got to play the long game. But it is possible. It is possible to not only work with amazing high value clients, but also make a very comfortable living on Upwork.
So, if you are struggling on Upwork and you're in the race to the bottom and you want to accelerate your progress on Upwork, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email will be in the description below. Jessica and I will be launching our private inner circle program pretty soon. And that's going to be where you can ask us any questions you like 24/7. That's going to be where we're going to have group video calls with our members so we can all learn amongst each other. And that's going to be where we have our masterclass. So, if you're interested in that, shoot me an email and we will have more information on that soon. Otherwise, if you found this video valuable, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and we'll see you in the next one.